Kia ora koutou, welcome along everybody to our Waipapa Papanui-Innes-Central Community Board meeting today. As always, we'll kick off the meeting with our karakia, so I'll ask everyone to stand. See what's up there. Kia ma kina kina kiuta, kia ma tara tara ki tai, e li aki ana te atura, e tio ki rika, e haupu, ti e mauru. It's great to have so many people along today. Just a heads up, this meeting is being live streamed, so everything you say is being captured. It's live on the internet. We have Ellie joining us online from Malta. Welcome, Ellie. And we are expecting some meter, so she'll probably arrive shortly. First item on the agenda today is apologies. We don't have any declarations of interest. Haven't received any of those either. Item 3, confirmation of previous minutes. Do we have a mover and a seconder for those? Victoria and Emma. That motion, all those in favour? Aye. That's carried. And that takes us to our public forum, and we have Emma McKenzie here to speak to us today about speaking on Philpotts Road. Welcome along, Emma. Thanks for speaking to us.
Thank you for having me. So just a little bit of context. I just sort of went online to look for like an online request for speed changes or speed management on Philpotts Road, and it's sort of escalated to me presenting here. So apologies for not having anything to provide in an e-document prior. Essentially, I live around a lot of elderly people, and my neighbours in particular have come. It's not just the speeding, I guess, on reflection, it is, you know, the fly tipping, the antisocial behaviour in general. We live very close to Philpotts Road, so it's that sort of rural part from QE2 Drive. There's probably a 400-metre area from it going 80 to 40 kilometres per hour. And now that they're trying to subdivide the roads over there, there's a lot of stolen cars being dumped. There's a lot of rubbish being dumped. So just general antisocial behaviour. So I guess I was just interested in the process of some type of, or just alerting some type of need along that area of road. Especially particularly on the weekends, escalation as well in regards to, you know, antisocial behaviour, drinking, car racing, all of that. So yeah, that's I guess why I'm here. So there's two parts to that in regards to what is the process to do something about that, and if there is a process, could there be an online option in the future?
Cool. Well, what you've done by coming here is a really great first step, because now that we know about it, we can look to we can get staff to look into it, both those aspects. With the online thing, there's a few different ways you can do it. You can just lodge a customer service request online, and that goes through to the relevant staff who can then look at it. So either way you've done today, or just doing that can work. With the speeding, is it throughout the day, or is it just the antisocial?
I mean, it's generally throughout the day. I can only go from what I hear in regards, but people don't exactly come off QE2 Drive from an 80k area. It hits 50k, say 50 to 70 metres from there, and it's meant to be 40k, say 200 metres down the road. I would say no one would adhere to that. If anyone, and to get to 40k's, it would be interesting to see if to get some actual quantitative data in regards to that, to have the numbers, but just from anecdotally, I would argue that there would be no way. And then there's the safety, like that's on the walking block of Diana Isaac. You know, we have a large elderly population that backs into about like 80 Philpotts Road, so that's like quite a popular route for them in regards. So it's like
play centre there too, is there?
I think so. Yeah, there's play centre. There's the just people with children. Anyway, I guess it's not necessarily, and I guess there's animals. Like we can go down lots of different scenarios of residents, but people don't. 80k's is a quite fast way to go, and people do enjoy And then in addition to the cars that get dumped, the rubbish, whether it's cameras, whether it's speed bump, I don't know, you guys are the experts in this type of stuff. I'm not, I'm just like, yeah, so.
So when we pass it on to staff, I'm sure the first thing they will do is we'll do some speed counts down there where they put the bits out on the road to gather the data, and then the next step goes.
Sweet.
Yeah. Are there any other questions? Yep.
I just want to, I can't remember when the new roading work has been done. Has the road been made into a proper road, or is it just going to the grass burn?
Still goes into the grass burn. So there was resurfacing, but there's been no additional footpaths apart from like the development that's just gone down out the road. They ripped down that old abandoned house. They've subdivided that, but that's been sitting empty for a year. So that's just the market, or people are just not willing to really engage and wanting to build there at the moment.
And road markings?
Yes, there are. Yeah, there's lines, but yeah. Thank you.
Ali's got a question, and we'll come to you.
Thank you, Emma. Ali here online. Just wondering what, I know that you said you looked online and looked for a way to raise this issue prior to coming here. Had you done anything else at this stage, ring police, speak to local residents associations or whatever? I'm just wondering whether a flag has been raised prior to you coming here.
I'm not aware of any type of local residents association. If there was, that would, by all means, I'd be happy to. In regards to police, one of my roles is I'm a duly authorised officer, so I work with police with mental health activity, and I understand the triaging process of the police. Then everything I've heard, I didn't think they were going to attend because they're swamped like every other area. So yeah, and until there's a significant risk of injury to life, I personally didn't think that they were going to attend, hence why I did it this way instead of. But if you guys want the paperwork through the police, well, that's all right. I can start that trail.
No, I didn't mean that, and I certainly didn't mean it in an accusatory way at all. I mean, you do know the systems. I'm just interested, you know, if stuff is raised by people and then doesn't come to us before people come to the board, it's just good to know if there's not a flow of information back to us that way. No, you've answered the question. Thank you.
Correct.
If I can, it's not so much a question as just picking up firstly on the point that Ali's raised in relation to the police. It is still important to keep logging it, because then there's a record and it shows that they are areas of concern.
Sure.
And I think through you, Chair, if I can just also mention Snap Send Solve, particularly with reference to the fly tipping and the dumping of rubbish.
Yeah, I've got the
know about great, and encouraging other people to use it as much as you can, because I'm seeing pretty quick turnaround and results with that fly tipping. And I'll be encouraging people to use that.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, just to reiterate that we know that in the areas of the city where there is problems with antisocial behaviour, the more people report to the police, the better, because then they know to keep them on those spots.
Yeah.
So I encourage your neighbours to do the same.
So
good. Cool, thank you very much, and we'll keep you posted.
thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. Is there anyone else wanting to do a public forum presentation? Okay, in that case, we will move on to our deputations. First, we've got Jen Galloway's, she was down for a deputation, but she's not able to make it, but we've got her written statement. And that was on the item 7, the Gambia Grants Rayburn intersection. So we've also got some students from St Bede's College. We've got Simon, Luke and Harrison speak to us today. That's on item 11, the Better Off funding application for Northcote Road. So if you guys want to come up to the table. Thanks for taking the time to come along. I'll hand over to you.
Yeah, good afternoon. Yes, I'm Simon, this is Harrison, and this is Luke. And yeah, we're here today. I'm not really sure how this works, but we're just going to speak and see what happens. So yeah, we're here today to talk about Northcote Road. Currently, there's a lot of boys from St Bede's that bike, walk, drive, in terms of the public that drive down that road. And ever since I've been at Bede's, ever since I've biked, ever since my brothers 10, 15 years ago have biked down that road, it's been extremely dangerous in terms of cars in the morning trying to get around cyclists, and yeah, that sort of thing. And with the addition of Marion College next to us down the road, and as well as the Pack and Save supermarket, we've noticed this intersection has got a lot more busy, more cars on the road, and especially in the afternoons after school, you've got boys like us coming away from school. You've got we've noticed a lot of elderly coming out driving, and I guess what we're trying to say is that we're worried that if nothing's done about this road, is that boys will be injured. Boys have been injured on this road, and in the worst scenario, they could die. But yeah, that's why we're here. We'd love to see a change in the next 10 or so years. We know that it was in some sort of plan, but we understand that due to funding, this might have to be shipped out. Harrison and Luke will talk more about that. I just wanted to finish on something that I did write down. I've just been off the cuff. But given the time and resources invested in cycle lanes in the city to make cycling safe for Christchurch citizens, and the lack of appetite to do so, the same on Northcote Road. If we are here in 12 months or 12 weeks or perhaps even 12 hours, talking about the dangers of Northcote Road after a fatality to a school child, will you guys feel comfortable with the decision you make today or over the next couple of days, weeks, whatever, and will you be able to face a bereaved parent and say, we got this one right?
Yeah, I'd just like to add on Simon's point that the boarders, I'm a member of the boarding house, they do love Pack and Save. It's definitely they've graced that place ever since it's come along, and they do like to head out. And coming into winter, it does get quite dark. So with that road being quite busy, it is quite easy for them to, well, yeah, slip up, and probably could be their last time slipping up.
If you make the decision now to not change the things on Northcote Road, what are you going to say to the parent that has an injured or dead child that you stuffed up and you didn't make the right decision? You can change the future, you can't change the past. So I think we should take action now.
Very well said. Any questions, Pauline?
Yeah, thank you. And thanks for coming in. It's great. Quite a scary submission, really. I leave us very little option, which I suppose is the intention. Are you talking about the intersection at Main North Road and Northcote Road?
That's right. Yeah.
And mainly on the Northcote Road side?
Yeah.
And
mainly.
What would you like to see happen there?
We'd like to see a bit of a road expansion rather than having it as 2 lanes, maybe putting it into 4 lanes. We know that the newer houses that have been built on Northcote Road have been built further back from the road. So I'm guessing from that it was somewhere in the plan. But now we've come to the understanding that that might not be the case anymore for the future.
So 1 lane turning left, 2 straight ahead and 1 right, or 1 cycle lane, 3 lanes? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I believe because there is a cycle lane before the railway track.
Yes.
That works great.
Yeah.
And it's until we get to that intersection for cyclists and for, as Harrison said, people walking and like Luke bikes down there every day.
Right.
Having a cycle lane going there down towards the intersection.
Right, so you're really thinking of the railway line to Main North Road section?
Yeah, but especially that intersection, and maybe having another lane for cars because it's so much busier now.
Yeah.
People in the morning going out to work or people in the afternoon coming back.
Yeah.
It is extremely busy. Like if you're turning left to go towards St. Bede's, you can't fit a car around there, and cars do try to get around. And the consequence of that is that cyclists are too scared to stay on that road. They don't know about it, so they stay on the road and risk being hit by a car, or they go up onto the footpath. And while that's all well and great, there's cars pulling out of those driveways in the morning, and they can't see cyclists can't see the cars can't see the cyclists. And then we go back to the thing of just another injury, an unnecessary injury.
Are there many cyclists at St. Bede's?
Heaps. Yep. I'd say at the start of the year, there's not a huge amount. Like all year 9s just pretty much get dropped off in the first couple of weeks because mum and dad are worried to send the child off to high school. But as the year goes on, definitely, especially more juniors, year 9s, 10s, even 11s, they're biking. And I'm not saying all of them go down Northcote Road, but a good majority of them do.
But a good majority would end up at an intersection either way. Yeah.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yep.
Emma and
My question.
Ali? Question?
Yes, now?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. Look, thanks guys for coming in. I mean, in this me-centric world, to have you guys come and talk so passionately about what's important for others is incredibly moving, and I applaud you for that. My question is that anything that is done in this area, as we know, is going to take some time. You know, wheels move really slowly, and what you're saying is there's potential for something to happen tomorrow, you know. So with the experience that you have at this area or this around this area, further to what Pauline asked, what do you think could be done immediately tomorrow that would make a difference? Is there anything you think we could do or could be done straight away? I'm
Look,
thinking of temporary barriers or whatever to put in a cycleway at the moment, and look, it's a big question, I know, but you know, this is really serious and important, and something significant won't be done for a very long time by the time you look at consultation and so forth. So anything temporary, anything that could be done straight away.
I mean, what you just mentioned there would be perfect, but as someone that cycled down Northcote Road, is there enough space to have both cyclists and cars going down there at the same time? My opinion is not. And that's just because I've cycled down there before. I've walked down there before. If we put, you know, a 30-kilometre-an-hour sign in there, sure, that I guess in an ideal world would work. But as someone talked about over here, going down from, she talked about going down from 80 kilometres to 50 to 40, going from 50 down to 30. When it's rush hour, people are going to work, people are coming home from work. Is that really going to happen? I mean, at St. Bede's, we're trying to talk about, you know, wearing lights, especially if we go into the winter months. I mean, we're wearing all black blazers. It's not easy to see us. We try to encourage high-vis vests and wearing lights, but, you know, some boys can't afford that, or some boys won't bother to do that because they think that they should be safe on the roads. I'm no expert on that. If that temporary cycle lane did work with the fences, that'd be great. But it's not.
The uniform to fluoro blazers.
No, thank you. You've answered the question. That was difficult. I just wondered if anything immediately came to mind, but I just wanted to reiterate that clearly the need is urgent. Thanks, guys.
No worries.
Though, Ali, it does bring up the fact that keep thinking, like whilst you're the guys that are there, keep thinking. I mean, if you come up with these ideas that could make a difference straight away without, you know, any too many major issues, it would be great to hear them from you. So, yeah, use it in your maths curriculum or something. Do some studies.
John, do you have a question?
Yeah, this time I have one. Thanks. Hi, guys. This will help with the conversation later on. I want to sort of get a measure on what difference it's made, you know, since the Pack and Save and Marion College have arrived there. You did mention that. And I don't know if you have, you know, a bit of a before and after insight into the dangerousness of the section of road and intersection.
Yeah.
Well, with the new Marion, like 600 new students biking and people trying to get to Pack and Save to get to these half prices or whatever. Like, this is just increase the percentage of a crash rate by like a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
A lot busier.
It's good to get some local insight.
Yeah.
No, that's fantastic to get that insight from you as cyclists and pedestrians who use that road and use that intersection. Thank you very much for taking the time to come along and give such an impassioned speech to us.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Well done.
Cheers. Thank
Sorry, we don't meet in school time. You could have taken some time.
Cool. And next speakers we have on the same topic from Marion College. I believe we have Alan and Tessa. Come along. Standard has been set, by the way.
I'm never happy about that.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. This is not scary at all. First thing I'd like to mention is just the amount of traffic. It's so immense. My friend, it took her 20 to 30 minutes from the back of St. Bede's on Queen Elizabeth Drive to get to Marion. That's like 100 meters for half an hour of waiting. Insane. And the fact that the more hassle it gets, the more annoyed that the people in the cars get, and the more opportunity that they can to get frustrated and to make a slip mistake because of that frustration. And I feel like that might be quite like a minor thing, but I think the frustration can happen and it is there, and the urgency to take action because of that should be addressed. The North Kit traffic and the whole traffic around the intersection from in the morning to the afternoon, it's just like so much. I can't begin to stress. I have a little moped, but even my moped can't get around those cars, nor would I want to try. Because if I tried, I would hate to think about the danger that I put myself in and others as well. North Kit Road just gets fully blocked in the afternoons because of the new skill. I mean, there's not only is beads there, which is like, what, how many students do you guys have? Like nearly 800. There's nearly 500 of us Marion girls, plus the primary school of Papanui, St. Joseph, which also Vegas Road gets blocked up because of that as well, completely blocked up. I was sitting there for like good 10 minutes just trying to get out, and that made me annoyed. And also the children who are trying to get across and biking and scootering, and people are frustrated. Those things can just slip up so easily. And as the boys said, that opportunity for a car to just be for a driver to be so frustrated that they are speeding a little bit because they're like, oh yes, I'm free. And then things like that can happen that's heartbreaking to think about. Yeah.
I'd say also we have a lot of cyclists who come like using from like where Marion is on Lydia Street to like through Pack and Save, and like those small streets that it's quite hard for cars to, like, obviously you're only turning left out of Lydia Street. It's just getting quite congested. Like girls, we're in bright blue. You'd hope you could see us, but as like when we used to cycle, we weren't seen by cars. Like if a car's not looking, if they don't have space, like if there's just, there's this one lane, they're looking down, I'm talking Northgate Road, like there's the cycle lane's tiny, like you're not going to see, you're not going to be like, gosh, you could look in your wing mirror, there's nothing, like there's no one there, except you look again, there's a cyclist. There's always in your blind spot. So I'm not sure, it's just, I'd say again with the Beats boys, it's just not enough space. It's just not safe for girls. Like I don't want to be sending young girls on their bikes, like making them independent, yet they're scared.
Yeah, especially because it is the 9 and 10s who bike, and they're the youngest. Like they have less experience, but they're the ones who bike because obviously they're not 16, they don't have cars. Also the road that goes down from Pack and Save that connects Marion, that is being heavily used now because it's kind of easy to get past traffic, but that's creating a whole nother risk factor for our girls at Marion. Like if they're not looking, which mostly they aren't because they're on their phones, let's be honest, they can be hit, they can be seriously harmed. That also creates a whole nother traffic block up on North Kit. Not only is there coming from Lydia Street, but now, they're coming from that main North Road going into it. So that just creates more problems. And most of our students are busing, but well, not most, they're around like 60%, but the rest of that 40% are coming from cars from parents. Lots of year 13s drive as well. So that's it's quite concerning. And then we also have the problem of parking. Lots of our neighbours are getting quite frustrated with the girls parking, and we're trying our best, but it's not easy just because of that traffic.
Yeah, we've parked, so we turn off Northgate Road onto Fenchurch, and we've avoided parking on Fenchurch as much as we can because it does get really congested leaving there and especially coming in. And as we're coming in, people are going to work. Like it's really just not ideal for anyone of us to be parking there. So we've gone, Paddington Street is where we're parking. There was also construction there, so like there just isn't enough for us to park. Like we're not trying to park in the ways that it's going to make it difficult for like residents. We're trying to avoid that as much as we can, but it's just hard but the issue's still there. Yeah, like there is, no matter where we go, it's always going to be like congested. It's always going to be in someone else's way.
Yeah, so I think that you guys talked about, that expanding the Northgate Road, I think that would really help. And sure, that might not happen in the next couple of years, maybe even further than that. But the fact that it needs to be addressed now, because if it's not addressed now, and if the action, and it doesn't matter if it's small, at least the action's there, and at least you're taking the steps to make it happen, because that's what it's important, getting that, hearing our opinions and hearing our cause for concern. I mean, these are people's lives we're talking about, and it's caused by cars and traffic, and that's seems like such a minor thing for the price of life.
Thank you very much. Simon's got a question.
Kia ora, thank you. One change that is already in the works is speed limit changes in that area, including introduction of a variable speed limit for Northcote Road. To what extent, I'm interested in, I guess, traffic volume and road space versus speed of traffic, like before school, after school. What are your thoughts on the speed that vehicles are travelling at the moment?
It's extremely slow because of the traffic and those congested spaces. And because it's extremely slow, when they get a chance to speed up, they will speed up. And that's the bit that I'm kind of concerned about, because it's around Beggs Road that they speed up, and there's children that are coming back from school. Personally.
Frustrated.
Yeah.
I've just got a quick question about the buses. You said, was it 60%?
Yeah.
Buses?
Yeah, around that.
Do those buses come right into the school, or are they buses that use the main North Road
I
stop?
think they use the main North Road stops.
Yeah. Okay, so there's a whole lot of pedestrians coming from there.
Oh, yeah. When I drive past, I can see all the Marion and Bede students that walk there. Yeah, which is also another cause for concern when you think about it.
Oh, no more questions? Oh, Victoria, and then
I'll actually might not be able to answer by the students. What bus routes go along Northcote? Are there any stops near the school, or is it only on the main North Road in Papanui?
Yes, there are stops on Northcote Road, just across from basically Littish.
Can't remember what.
And just
Okay.
next to the exit onto Northcote Road. But I couldn't tell you.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Emma?
I just wanted to congratulate you on obviously the information that you've gathered to get here, the knowing your bus numbers and things. That's great. It's excellent to hear as the newbies in the area that you've put so much effort into trying to be a good neighbour. Or being a good neighbour.
Yeah.
So well done. That's really excellent to hear.
Thank you.
Yeah. Because we have heard from the neighbours already as well.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And they love you.
Okay, good.
No, just so you know, they are out for consultation at the moment. There's some no stopping lines proposed for Church and Paddington.
Yep.
So you'll have to move that bit further away. Right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you very much.
And we are going to jump now to that item. So that these guys can hear the outcome of it. So we're going to move to item 11, is the better off funding. And yeah, we'll do the Northcote Road.
No, you guys first. You gotta do Northcote Road.
Yes, we'll do Northcote Road first so that these guys can.
Yeah, I'll take that one spot higher. Sorry. Good Tato. For those of you that haven't met me, I'm Lynette Ellis, Head of Transport. And beside me is Emily Taylor, who's the asset planner that helped fill in she knows the details of the form that we put in, and we'll probably just take this read and take questions.
Yeah.
That's all right. But I would like to acknowledge all of the students that have come up and spoken today. It is really difficult to do that, and I think you all did an awesome job. Well done.
Thanks, Nick. Questions, Pauline?
Yeah, no, thank you. And the excellent deputations have only impressed upon me how urgent this is. But what will this 100K do in the light of the major project, and how far progressed is any work on this?
Part of the issue with this project is that what has progressed in the past progressed with a different landscape of no Marion College and not knowing about the pick and save on the corner. So we actually need to do some feasibility work, and that's what this 100K is about. The conversation started around the time of the talking about the LTP and what came out of some community board priorities that were raised. So this allows us to do some feasibility and and I don't know whether we've covered this, you can confirm or deny, Emily, but what we can do in that is look through the feasibility stages to look at whether there's something we can do quickly, as Ali pointed out earlier, to improve the safety along there right now.
Right.
But the idea is to have a long-term plan for how do we resolve things. Now, the thing I would like to point out is, yes, there has been a lot of work at the Main North QE2 intersection. That's only just finishing up and we're only just starting to see the correct phasing of lights and all the rest of it. So we do need to give that a little bit of time to shuffle in to see if it works as expected and to give the signals guys in their little room a chance to play with the timings and all that sort of thing. So that's...
So my other question is that if this 100K is granted today, is there any more money that we could perhaps bid for in the LTP that would help to advance this? And I'm not talking megabucks, but is 100 enough for now, or 120, 150? You know, what can we do?
It's enough for now.
It is enough now, and that
we
gets us...
need to work out what we can do.
Yeah.
And, you know, the road is very busy at the moment. It's quite constrained. We need to work out what we're going to...
Yeah.
So that gets us doing the planning, getting us doing the feasibility and getting a plan in place, which would then inform the annual plan, the next annual plan, which is where we'd be doing some money shuffling as well, degree poker to get things going. Look, if there was something that was blindingly obvious that came out, we as council, you know that we have minor safety budgets, we have other budgets. If there was something that came out that was blindingly obvious, we'd find out how to make
And what
it.
about the issue that one of the guys brought up about the cyclists at
the intersection?
Main
Yeah,
North,
I've just
maybe bollards or something there?
I just looked at it up, and I should have known because I drive down it as much as any of you do. I live out there too. And I just looked at it on Google Maps, and yeah, the cycle lane at the moment stops at Lydia Street. So we need to figure out what to do. But yeah, and that's the sort of blindingly obvious that we need to look at. That part of the challenge is that Main North Road is actually still NZTA jurisdiction. We are currently in the process of us taking over some of that jurisdiction, so that gives us more room to play.
When's that, Jay?
Soon, July, August. Yeah, no, it is. I mean, we're having conversations. It's definitely this year, and actually, it wouldn't stop us doing it if, again, it was blindingly obvious.
It's encouraging.
Yeah.
Right, we've got a line of questions here. We've got Jake, Ali, then Victoria, then Emma.
Thanks, Nick. Really supportive of the project and support bringing it forward as part of our normal budget processes. Just checking, because this is an unusual situation where we're funding an internal bit of work from a pot of money that we've never really had or seen of or don't know what may happen to. I just want to check, and it may not be a question you can answer from transport, but if we were to award this funding today, is there any risk of it being taken off us?
Or
can
that question is well above my pay grade. You might have to go to the Prime Minister on that one. No, I'm joking. No, I am joking. Look, there's always a risk. But what we have said, and we've said all along, is this is a really valid piece of work that we just haven't got the operational funding to match. So yeah, there's always a risk, but I think the sooner we get on and start doing, the less chance there is of it being taken off. And that's what we'd be looking to do.
Are you aware?
Yeah.
Have there been any other recent funding opportunities to progress this work?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay. Cool.
Are there some you're sitting on that you want to tell us about?
I was just thinking in terms of prior years' plans and things like that, but.
There was a project on and there was work done, and there has been work done down Northcote Road, and we wouldn't be redoing that. But like I said, it didn't take into account the land use that's in there and the change in land use that's happened with Marion College coming in. And particularly the traffic impacts for Pack and Safe. But what this study will be doing was picking up all of those pieces of information, putting them together, and then starting to shuffle it all out and figure out what to do.
Well, that's good. I guess just follow up to that then. Can we get some advice in terms of internal funding, internal work, whether that's at a greater risk in terms of setting the money externally?
Yep, we can ask for that.
Yeah.
Ellie.
Great, thanks for that. Two things. I mean, I know we throw these figures around 100K, 120K. This is a huge amount of money, right? This is not insignificant. Without the board stepping outside its responsibility and overview from a governance perspective, how much visibility can we maintain over how this money is spent? Right, we're in a situation where we have to be fiscally prudent. This is clearly very, very important. But is this going to be spent primarily on external consultants, for example? Where is the money actually going to go? And is it fair for the board to have regular reports on what it's been spent on and what remains in the budget?
Yeah, look, the plan is that we would do this work internally, because we do have the staff internally to do it, and they have the best knowledge of the network to do it. There may be odd pieces of very bespoke information that you might look to put out to a consultant to get it done, but the goal, the plan is to use internal staff.
Okay.
Absolutely, we can report back, and I suggest, if this is accepted, that what we do is do up a project plan and bring that back to you as a board, and that'll give you a roadmap of how we're going to get to this. And look, the other thing is, Ellie, is that if it doesn't cost us 100 grand to do it, we won't spend 100 grand to do it. So that's the plan.
Okay, no, that sounds really good, Lynette, and I think having that plan is helpful. You know, because this is a significant amount of money. The other thing is, just from a procedural perspective, I mean, this didn't happen overnight. You know, I know it was quick with Marion and Pack and Save and things going in there, but what is the council, or does the council, your team, normally do following such a significant change in land use that, you know, includes schools and intersections and huge amounts of traffic? I'm just concerned that we seem to be reacting here rather than front-footing it and perhaps monitoring, auditing and putting a plan in place. I just wonder what your comments were on that.
Of Langdon's Road, isn't it?
Oh, stabbed. I think, look, you hinted at it earlier, Ellie, when you said the wheels move slowly, and unfortunately, in a lot of cases, we are reacting because we can't. And it's with a lot of our transport work, unfortunately. So if you often have to prove a need before you can get the funding or get the support in order to get something to happen. So this is unfortunate. It has been flagged internally, but we've been struggling to figure out how to do it. It's like,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and the only thing I'd say to that, Lynette, is, and we know this from the DEMP and what happened with the CNC, is that there was a huge amount of modelling that was done and you know, access to information. And I would have thought, with, you know, 1,500 new kids coming on the scene, that would have been a pretty good starting point for, you know, raising a flag. But look, we are where we are now. I just raise it so that perhaps in future we can be a bit ahead of it. I do understand what you're saying and having to need to prove a need, but I don't think you have to be a rocket scientist to work out, you know, a massive supermarket, 2 big high schools, there is a need. There's going to be a need.
Yeah, I think Emily's got a bit to add to this.
No, I just wanted to say that particularly with the schools, we don't know ahead of time how many students will be cycling. St Bede's has been there a very long time, but Marion College, an extra 600, 800 students. We don't know how they're going to travel to and from school.
So there's a lot of work that we put in around the travel planning as well with schools across the city. So there's all sorts of things that we do to try and do it new developments and development changes are an ongoing challenge for us that we are aware of, and we're trying to figure out how to change our planning processes to be a bit more proactive.
Okay, thank you for that.
No worries.
Well, we just got Victoria and Emma. And John, Anthony.
Thank you. My first one really is supplementary to Ali's questions around the monitoring and the follow-up. Just to clarify, can you just clarify for me then? If it were not for us raising these issues now, are you saying that there would have been no monitoring of what's happened in relation to the traffic flow at this intersection and in this space? And there's no money on budget to be doing that at the moment?
No, the operations team have area engineers, and one would focus on the Papanui area. She is aware of the schools going in. She is making, for example, the no stopping consultation that's out at the moment. She is aware and trying to mitigate the impacts of additional people and additional customers at the Pack and Save. In terms of the intersection, we are also monitoring obviously the use of the traffic signals and the way that people are using those turning lanes, for example.
But it's the big capital projects of change. So for example, as suggested, putting extra lanes on for cars to get down there, it's the big capital ones that take the time to get in, and often you're catching up. So we do a lot of little stuff, and Sally Ann's working on the
no stopping
around the area at the moment. So that's what the area engineers try and do, and then that informs your planning process. But because of the planning process with our 3-year cycle, it can take time.
Sure. So what's the pathway then for us to be updated on what you're observing and being kept in the loop with this? Do we just have to wait for something to come from you, or will you be reporting to us in 6 months, or how does the information come back to our table?
You mean with regard to the feasibility work?
No, not the feasibility, just in relation to the intersection in general and the changing in the traffic sequencing and the lane turning to right.
Well, we wouldn't normally report back on that because it's just operational. It's operational work that we will be just updating. We would come back if we needed to make changes to the network that were under your delegation. So they are monitoring it. They're monitoring the traffic signals team monitor the whole network.
Okay, so in terms of us as elected members having to deal with the angst from the public at the moment, what's your advice to us in terms of how to help manage? Is that question out of place?
No, that's where we're looking to do. At the last time I came and spoke to you, we talked about getting some comms out, and we're currently working with Foodstuffs to get that out over the next few days. And we're looking to do some either videos or cartoony type things of how to use the new intersection. But we've also been trying to get some word out that it's not quite finished yet. So while it's not working as optimally as we want it to at the moment. So
what's the time frame then to finish the works around the intersection there?
I've been informed it should be finished this week, but it's not the work is, and that's the other thing is that, and that makes it very difficult for us as council staff. It's not our project, and we're not doing the work.
Sure.
So if it rolls over, we've got very little we can hang anyone.
Thank you. Let's hope that by beginning of next term it's
I think it's due now, and I know and I've been talking to people at Foodstuffs.
Thank you. So my final question then is really in relation to the widening of the carriageway, and we've had this mentioned by a couple of students, and I think there may, I'm unsure of what the scope was of the previous plans for this corridor. But it does raise the issue about designations. And I wondered if you could talk to us, please, about what already exists in the designation space and what areas are currently either owned by council or have a designation on them. Can we just talk about that, please?
But there is a designation along Northcote Road, the section between the railway line and the Main North Road intersection.
Can you just explain then for those who may not know what designation is?
So that is a I can explain it better. That is a planning tool to ensure that we are able to purchase the land and widen the road if it was deemed necessary to do so.
That designation already exists.
Yes, it does. Thank you. Yeah,
It hasn't been uplifted
It
along
hasn't
that
been
piece of the corridor.
yeah, good.
Yeah.
So that is retained until if we got to a point where we decided that we absolutely wouldn't need it, then we could lift that designation, but it remains in place while we're planning.
Is that on the south or the north side of the corridor?
Both sides.
It's on both sides.
Ah.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's helpful.
How much, how wide?
5 metres
On both
on
sides?
both sides, yes.
So that would mean taking out all of
Front yards.
Front yards, basically.
the trees.
Yes.
Emma, you had a question?
That was
Yes,
Belfast.
of course.
Yeah, of course.
So, big issue in the area seems to be the cars. So just asking, of course, what part of the project will be about reducing single-use vehicles rather than accommodating them? Where will the focus be on the project?
That was our concern with, and if I
Yeah.
may jump in, that was our concern with adding lanes to the road, is that we are just making it easier for cars to use. We're not making it easier for cyclists and pedestrians. So
And of course, you'd be aware of the research out that says, increasing lanes never reduces.
No,
That's
not
called
true.
induced demand. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
There's actually a really great skit that you can get on YouTube about induced demand from the Utopia. It's either Utopia or Parks and.
Yeah, I've seen
it. But they're really good. But they're also really, really accurate. Look, the feasibility part of this is about looking at what options we've got, how that fits, what problem we're solving. So all of that is part of everything you've raised, Emma, is part of the conversation within the feasibility. What could we get in for PT? Or do we need to get in for PT? What options are there for cycling and walking? What are the potential cost benefits?
Yeah.
What are the potential cost benefits of widening, not widening?
And it's not just walking and cycling. I mean, they've got, many ways, as you just heard, to get to school.
I saw someone on one of those single wheel.
That's exactly right.
Yeah,
and we're not
a great balance.
We're still not accommodating those users in our traffic planning. So, it would be just
exactly
if you use the project money to do it a different way, completely spin it on its head.
Yep. So there's a suggestion while I was sitting here listening to these very articulate young people here, and I haven't even run it past their teachers and principals, is the potential to use their ideas and their thoughts and how they go to school and use their knowledge into this feasibility. So we will look at how we can do that if we're up for having that discussion. I don't know what that looks like yet. We've done it with other schools and it's really great, and sometimes they have really amazing ideas that we've never thought of because we're actually just a little bit old.
Sorry, and I've just got another couple of questions. So that corridor, as everyone stated, is unsafe. Whether it's perceived or not, but it is perceived as very unsafe. Where does it sit in the citywide safety sort of list?
So we, I looked at the intersections, and the intersection, Lydia Street and I think it's Fenchurch Street, I believe we're in the 100 to 200s. So it's not in terms of our Kiwi RAB. It's not particularly.
Yeah, but the data might be for the.
Yeah, it will have been.
It will be before the Pack and Safe and before the Marion College. Absolutely.
That's due to be updated, but that is also based on crash data, historical crash data. So it'll take time for that to stack up.
And if I may add, reported crash data, and we know that the underreporting is huge.
Yeah. And so when the cycleway was done up to Lydia Street.
Yeah.
So do you know when that was done? When that was sort of put in?
No, it's just a cycle lane. It's just a painted lane on the road.
But so I was just wondering, so when you do that, put a little cycle lane in or whatever to an area, there must be a plan of, where it goes to next. So what was the plan when that cycleway was made? What was the plan after Lydia Street?
there's very new facilities around Lydia Street, and part of that is based on the fact that whenever we, there's district plan requirements that state whenever we interact with the network, we need to add in improvements for cycling and for vulnerable road users, for cycling and walking in particular. So some of the network is quite sporadic like that because of that rule, and it's not actually planning to join up yet.
And so, and how come in all the work that's just been done here, this hasn't been done?
We didn't do the work there.
Yeah.
So why haven't NZTA?
It's out of scope, did you
Yeah.
say?
The work around Lydia Street is specifically associated with the resource consent for.
Yeah, and it was delivered. It wasn't delivered by us, and the main North Road stuff is not delivered by us either. So it's delivered by food stuff.
TA.
No, it's food stuff. Part of the consent.
Right, John.
Yes, thank you. My question is partially answered from Emma's question about the comparison with citywide, but I wanted more of a qualitative view, I suppose, because I recognise it's too early days and we don't want to wait for an accident statistic to build up. What's your feeling, and it has to be somewhat predictive, of course, but what's your feeling on how this sits compared to other dangerous pieces of road in the Waipapa board area? So we're talking Papanui-Innes and the non-metro part of Central. And this can be approximate. I'm not looking for a percentile or a number.
It's one of the busiest stretches of road in your board area. One of there's other roads that are busy. It's hard to answer because every project has valid reasons for why we're proposing to do it. So yeah.
Is there anything that's worse and not funded, I suppose, Mike? And I know that this is unfair questioning, but out of scope, but this is an out of scope proposition too. And so stand out question.
Well, probably not, because if that had been the case, we wouldn't have suggested through all of the many amendments that we had in the LTP and the LTP process that actually we think this is the right thing to do.
No.
And
first of all, apologies for being late. So my question is that with the new school coming in the area and with the pack and save coming in, so I'm thinking on a high level when consents are being granted, future planning. So this is not like a new problem to us, right? We could foresee this problem.
So this is talking about the RMA process.
Yeah, I was thinking just simply in terms of impact, the RMA is quite limited in what we can require them to do.
I'd say it's a minor issue.
All right, okay.
Yeah. That's a very blunt tool for a lot of these developments, and that's across the board. And it's quite difficult in order to require, and in fact, to give credit to the developments as they did work hard with us to find solutions that are going to, when they're finished, hopefully mitigate it. That's the plan.
So what I'm thinking is that, I've been driving the road and intersection 20 years. So we are at the moment treating it as something new problem has arrived, but it's not. It's always been there because St. Bede's was there for a long time. And of course, the traffic has increased because of Pack and Save and new school. But in terms of safety in comparison to the other intersections in the board, I am trying to justify in my head, and I'm very scared of Luke here if I say no to this, in my head, that how something which already existed, the problem already existed, we are trying to find a quick fix solution with this money, which I'm not even sure whether it's enough.
I would like to say it's not finding this, not providing this.
Like we are acting on it, basically.
Working out what the solution is, So when we assess risk, it's about on the network, it's about collective risk. And so the change in how they use it, and the boys pointed it out, they wouldn't have come across the road like they used to. They would have had to go down to Northlands to get to that access. So that the usage has changed and the number of people using the space has changed. So that has lifted the collective risk because there's more people there. So, and a collective risk is calculated by a sort of a total number of people versus your total risk. And the more people you have, the more that.
So could we not anticipate this when these developments were coming? Or
yes,
plan?
we potentially could have.
Yeah.
But as we've talked to previous questions, the wheels run quite slowly in order to try and develop your LTP. You've got a 3-year planning period to move into that. So it is about moving it slowly, but this is about trying to provide the roadmap for how do we solve it.
Sure. One last question. This 100K amount, how did we reach to this figure?
We made an assessment of what we think the costs are going to be for, based off our knowledge of other work we've done previously and all the rest of it. Yeah. But like I said, if it doesn't cost 100K, we're not charging 100K.
Yeah.
We won't be spending
Just
it.
last point, more of a statement than question, that when you mentioned that, we didn't know how many students would use the biking. We are a city which prides for encouraging people to bike. So I don't think that we need to really know about how many people would bike. We should always pre-plan it, that people will bike, because we are, as a collective effort, trying to encourage people to bike.
Absolutely.
Not everyone, majority of it, especially young people.
I do hear what you're saying. However, Marion College is, I believe the catchment is citywide. So there will be a number of students that come from outside of reasonable cycling range. They are not as focused as, say, a local primary school or intermediate where the catchment is immediately around them.
Yeah. Thank you.
Right, we're going to finish up with questions now. I'm happy to move this. We're going to do
Sorry, Emma. Sorry, I had a question that I wanted to ask, please, just quickly.
Hold on,
Yeah,
Emma first. Go, Emma.
Okay, so we spend this 100K doing this report. You've told us it's not high priority in the city. So the process would be to get anything done from the report.
We said in the Kiwi Rep ratings, which is not been updated because it's based on crash and it's based on collective risk. Currently, it is sitting not as high as other intersections. However, we recognise that the collective risk has increased based on the additional students and additional customers.
So the process would be that you would do your project, come up with the report. Then that report would then be put into the long-term plan.
It would be
a project
as an amendment to an annual plan, probably.
Annual plan. And so then we'd have to get citywide councillors to approve that over their other higher rated projects.
No different to any other project, yeah.
At least this work would be done.
But you'd have the space and work behind it moving forward. And we may get some quick ones out of it as well.
Yeah.
Which would be great.
Yeah, I like all the maze. At the same time, it's taking 100K from community projects.
This is a community project.
I know.
Hold on, we're going to hold this for debate. Ali, quick question.
Yeah, very quick. It's more for you, Emma, actually, from a process perspective. Two things that have come up, and I've been really buoyed by what I've heard from Lynette on this is, and it's supplementary also to what Vic raised. I think that the board should, even though Lynette mentioned that this is organisational as far as, or operational, I beg your pardon, with regards to what the traffic's doing and so forth. We know from what happened with Cranford Street that the board really did need to be updated on what the auditing and monitoring and whatever was revealing. It was absolutely essential that the board had an overview of that. I would suggest the same as here, perhaps even more so because of the huge change. So I want to know in approving this, can there be some sort of proviso written in whereby the board is regularly updated on what staff are seeing as far as the auditing and monitoring of traffic and stuff around the area is? And could we also please have a much clearer indication of what this 100K is going towards? Lynette's just said that the 100K was actually based on, the work that's going to be done. So there must have been some idea of what that work is going to produce and so forth. And I'd really like some visibility on that as well as we progress.
So as I said right at the start, we will come back post, if you approve this, we will come back post this with a project plan that gives you an idea of what's being done and what the roadmap is for getting the work done, and when we'll be reporting back and all that sort of all those sort of things.
Yep.
With regard to the monitoring, I just need to take that one away and have a think about it of operational parts, because what worries me is that we end up spending a lot of time reporting back, and it takes time away from the actual monitoring, so that we've got to try and balance that. So, but we can take that as an action to look at what we can do.
Okay.
Feedback on the changes, because there are changes in the area. Get that?
Yep, no, I appreciate that, but look, I can't reiterate strongly enough that what is happening has got to be informed, and for the as in the changes and proposals, and that being informed comes from an understanding of what's happening with the traffic and the flows. So I understand about resourcing, Lynette, but we've seen it on Cranford, and it was so important to the board's understanding and the wider community's understanding of what was happening to know, you know, what the increase in traffic was, how many people were cycling, how many near misses there were, what the peak traffic is. I think that's really important of this. So Emma, I just don't know how or if we can actually include this somehow as a consideration in the discussion and sign off today.
Well, I'm happy to take. I'm reassured by Lynette's statement about coming back to us with that project plan, and I think that's something we can continue to work on.
No, I'm not talking about the project plan. I appreciate that, and I think that's great. I'm talking about understanding what's happening in the monitoring and the auditing. I think that that's absolutely key for the board to have a really good regular oversight of what's happening in this area, which has changed so significantly.
She's going to come back that one over and keep us posted. I don't think, you can't be answered today. Jake, you've got a quick something.
Oh, I was just going to say, if you were to meet with the board more frequently to discuss monitoring, that would detract from the project. That staff time that would be gobbling up, which is time that could be spent making.
Yeah, pretty much. Yes.
So information for us or project for the community.
Hang on a minute though, Jake, and sorry, with respect, it shouldn't be one or the other. Look, I do appreciate that resourcing's tight and money is tight, but I do not accept that the board will not have an overview or understanding of what's happening in this really important area because it means that the project can't progress. I'm sorry, there has to be a way that the board has a good overview and understanding of what's going on in this really important area.
Also that line between governance and operations, Ellie, and I think we have to trust staff, trust that they are going to keep us in the loop and work that process.
Emma, I'm not saying we don't trust staff. I'm not saying we don't trust staff. What I'm saying is I would like the same thing to happen here as happened with the DEMP. Okay, it is not difficult. It is not different. We were never told that it was staff crossing the line from governance to management when it came to what was happening with the DEMP. And I think we need to have an understanding as a board too about I'm not suggesting we get a report every 5 minutes, but we need to have an understanding of what's going on in this area. I don't think that's unreasonable.
I'll review it and I will come back to you with some ideas.
Okay, thanks, Lynette. Right, so we're going to put this item separately. So we've got it separated off there, number 5. I'm happy to move it. Do we have a seconder, Victoria? Just a quick couple of words from me. I'd like to thank the students very much for coming along today. It was really important to hear your views. I'm really pleased that we're able to have this money to put into this project, because otherwise we have heard that it wouldn't be getting done. And I'd just also like to mention there was mention of a couple of other primary schools in the area. We've also got Casebrook Intermediate just along the road. A number of students bike along Northcote Road to Casebrook Intermediate, and Papanui High School had hundreds of students that went to Northcote Road as well. So really happy to see this and to be able to move this today. Anyone else? Victoria?
Thank you, Emma. Likewise, thank you to the students. I hope you get a good idea of what our community board meetings are like. Thanks so much for coming along again.
We're here every week.
Yeah. I'd also like to say thank you to the staff for being available today to answer the queries. It's been really helpful, but also thank you to my colleagues. I felt that the questioning was really helpful today. It just helped us really some clarity around what it is we're trying to do here. I think the proposal that we've got is in great alignment with our board priorities. And in that respect, remember that this is only funding for feasibility. This is not about the merits of the work itself in relativity with the other issues across the city. This is about the feasibility, about investigating the options. What our priorities are around a connected transport network, and we've identified that that's important. And also community safety really is at the forefront of all of our decision making. And this is one of these key areas where what we're talking about here is about our community safety. And from what we've heard from the students today, that Northcote Road is anything but safe at the moment. As a board, we're really committed to advocating strongly for active transport modes and for networks to support the walking and cycling and the public transport. So this is an opportunity for us to make sure that we're doing that as best that we can in our area. It also fits with the purposes of the Better Off funding. So it's really one of the ticks all the boxes. Just for the point of clarity for some of the newer board members, this is not new. It was always anticipated that the works would be required for this particular corridor and hence the designations along there. What brought this to the front of my mind and actually brought it back to the table to where we are now is the concern that this has dropped off the 10-year plan. And we just can't let it drop off the 10-year plan. So this is a way in which we can get it moving again to understand what the options are, because the reality is that the built environment has changed significantly since the works were first anticipated. So we've got an opportunity to have another look at it now. And I love the idea of working with our local schools. We've got incredibly articulate, intelligent pupils on our doorstep, and let's work with them. It's a great opportunity for engagement with our key stakeholders. And I suppose finally, I'd just like to make a nod to my friend and colleague, Jake, Councillor McClellan. Thank you, and remind you that you committed to trying to find a substitute project to ensure that we could get this work done. And yes, and whilst I was disappointed that we couldn't find that in the long-term plan, I'm absolutely delighted that you've got another opportunity to try and stick true to your word on this particular question. Thank you very much.
Anyone else want to speak to it? Simon?
Thank you very much. Also, thank you to the students who have spoken to us today. Really appreciate hearing from you. And it's always good to have community in here, good to have young people in here, and particularly on such a significant issue as this. As with others around the table, this is my local community as well, and we've had that comment from start too. We care about this area, we move through it, we live in it. This is where our families are. This is a slightly unexpected, I'd say, way of proposing to apply some of our Better Off funding. I completely accept, though, that this is a community project and it fits within that criteria. This is a road that was already narrow, busy, had a poor level of service for cyclists in particular, difficult to navigate for pedestrians as well. And that is, as Vic has already said, that is why it has had a significant amount of funding allocated to it in our long-term plan. And until we've hit the financial situation that the council's in now, we could have perhaps anticipated drawing down from that or bringing some of that forward rather than doing what we're doing today, but it is what it is. And it's completely aligned with our community board plan and should give us a much stronger justification as well for having conversations about what it is that we need to be funding in terms of capital works in the future. And really interested to know what we might be able to do more quickly as well. Happy to support today. Thank you.
Simon, Emma.
Yes, thank you everyone for coming along. It's very difficult to actually say that I would probably be voting against this because I look at the long term and I look at how much it's going to cost to buy those properties along the side and where it sits in the whole citywide. I'd rather be giving the $100,000 to you students to work with finding temporary solutions now, because I think this $100,000 is going to be thrown into the wind. That would be my opinion. And it does fit with everything else that it needs to get this funding. But unfortunately, I don't have faith that it's actually going to come up with any solutions for you. So My apologies, kids. It's breaks my heart to do it.
Anyone else want to speak to it? No? Okay, we'll put that motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Emma? Got that noted, Emma? Right, so that is carried. We'll move on to the other resolutions there under item 11.
Well done. I hope you get some use out of it.
So we've got the Papanui Bush and Rutland Reserve projects.
I'm happy to move these, or if you want to do them individually, if that's all right.
These ones together.
Yeah, I'm happy to move them, Emma.
We have a seconder. Victoria's got a hand up. Are there any questions for Stacey? No. Easy. John.
I have one, if I may.
Up your way with it.
So-
Come on.
Hey, I don't know if you've got the data there. I keep tabs on the ward by ward ratios on these things, and I'm off, we've just, the Papanui share has gone up quite a bit.
You're gonna ask what the split is?
Yeah,
I'm looking at my manager because that means mess and mess on the fly.
He's got it written in the other book. It was it's just changed, but it was relatively even prior to this meeting. So it would have now gone up a little bit more towards Papanui.
Sure, not more.
But it was looking relatively even and well spread, but taking into consideration a couple of these projects of wider benefit.
Yeah.
Those two.
But I'm pretty happy if we can kind of balance it out and be able to.
And I think when we first talked about the better funding, we came to the board and asked if you wanted to separate the money into ward areas. And there was a clear direction from the table that actually it'll be project by project.
And needs.
And need, correct.
Any more questions? No? Okay, we've got a mover and a seconder. Did anyone want to speak to anything? No? Okay, we'll put that motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? That's carried. Thank you very much, Becky. Congratulations. You nearly missed it, Dennis.
I wasn't even here. I was out there giving those people
You can't, Dennis. We talked about this, Dennis.
nothing about this, but it's all about solving the problem of making sure that every single student that goes into those schools on a bike wears high-vis jacket.
Comes again. Will you check contact? Dennis, right, we're now moving on.
Sorry, Victoria.
Back to item.
His blazers was a really good idea.
Back to item 7, which is the Gambier Street, Grants Road, Rayburn Ave intersection.
Oh, yes.
Welcome along, Mike. Jake has moved it. I'm happy to second it. Were there any questions?
It's got one.
No.
I think we did.
Yes.
No, I mean,
Just really quickly, in terms of where you've got the no stop and going, and acknowledging that the rat running traffic coming up Rayburn and crossing into Grants. Is there any science behind where you've actually put them in terms of, did you look at particularly coming into it at this end from Rayburn, whether it could be longer, or how did you land at that?
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair, to the board. Yes, putting Gambier aside for a minute, I'll come back to that. But with Grants and Rayburn on the approach and departure, the limit of the no stopping was assessed based on where we got back to the normal width road alignment. It's basically, you can see where the road narrows on one side at least, but we took the no stopping on the other side to the same point, just so that we do provide sufficient room on the approaches and departures from that to for two-way traffic. I can speak to Gambier if you like, but there may be questions particularly about that because that's the most contentious bit.
You want to speak to it? Go ahead.
Okay. The issue with Gambia is if you were coming from the northwest, you know, where the word starts, Gambia, you're coming along there. Our assessment of that is it's quite deceptive. I'm sorry, I'm putting aside the issue of the neighbours having a disagreement over where parking should be. But if we're looking at it technically, you're coming along a straight road of Gambia, then you veer, a number of things happen. You have to veer to the right on a bend, plus the road tapers, and it's very subtle. There's that classic term, deceptive bend, and to us this is quite deceptive. And one resident reported that there's been no officially reported crashes. There was a crash there where, you know, the road, there's no apparent or obvious narrowing of the road. It does it so subtly. So that in combination with the fact that the distance between property number 2 and 4, the gap is an awkward gap between the vehicle entrances, and I think you all know that legally you're required to be at least 1 metre back from a vehicle entrance. There just simply isn't room. If we have many cases where if there might be more than required space for 2 cars, but 3 they'll try and squeeze them in, or there's room for 1, more than room for 1, they'll squeeze 2 in. And that's been a constant concern for the resident with somebody overhanging their vehicle entrance, which has aggravated the visibility for them getting in and out. So it started with the problem in Gambia, but then we assessed the whole intersection, you know, for not trying to make a very wide roadway, but just a road that will function reasonably well.
Thanks. Any more questions? Cool. So Jack's moved it. I've seconded it.
Yeah, just briefly, I've been contacted by a local resident in the area who's been there for 33 years. She says she's been on about this for a very, very long time. Some of you may be able to guess who that is. The rat running traffic really is an issue, and although this doesn't stop that, what it does is it really makes the intersection a hell of a lot safer. So I'm really happy to support this.
I was just going to say, I believe rat running has got worse through here. I have done it myself with the new lights at Grasmere and Main North. It makes it a very attractive route to cut right through from Blythe Road, miss all the traffic down. So this definitely will make that intersection safer because it is a tricky one with that offset. So thanks for your work on this, Mike. Anyone else? No? Okay, we'll put that motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
That is carried. And you can stay there, Mike, because we're moving to item 8, which is the Papanui primary proposed parking changes. Any questions on that one? No. Do we have a mover and a seconder? Emma? I'll second it. Anyone want to speak to it? No, we'll put that. Oh, Simon. Sorry.
Just acknowledging contact from a member of the public with some additional concerns around parking and safety in the wider area. And thanks to the staff for some feedback we've had on that, which I'll feed back to that member of the public as well. That, you know, what we're approving today is I guess the scope of what was investigated and proposed by staff, and happy to support it. But I'm also very happy to continue looking at the wider area and seeing if there's other things we can do to improve safety and community.
Thanks, Simon. Right, we'll put that motion. All those in favour? Aye. Again, it's carried. Chester Street East resident only an angle parking. Any questions on that one? Question or you move it?
No, well, yeah, I have a question first. My question is, when did the ceiling happen? Like, how long has it been since the lines got covered and now come back? Approximately.
To the board. My understanding, it's been 2 or 3 years since the road was sealed. I could find the exact date. It didn't come to our attention because, you know, we just don't have time to drive the 2,500 k's of road we have in Christchurch to constantly monitor it, and no one complained. The unfortunate two things happened here. The road was resealed, including this angled parking area, which sealed out the markings to show residents parking. And then the sign, not all the signs, but some signs mysteriously disappeared. We can make assumptions, but we can't say why that happened, as with anything. And just one quick thing is that you'll be aware that the council has approved 2 parking policies. One's called the Central City Parking Policy, which is part of, and a suburban parking policy. Particularly with the Central City Parking Policy, it states we will not put in new residents-only parking, but we will honour existing ones. And the problem with this is it really is considered existing. It's just that the infrastructure, for the 2 reasons I've just talked about, have disappeared. It's certainly in the future, yes, we might say, well, we might prefer to use the new policy and go to rather than having dedicated spaces, have a residence exemption from a restriction policy. But that's a far wider, bigger project to look at really the whole residential component of within the avenues. So that's a big task. So we're just basically putting this back to how it should be at this stage.
Thank you, that makes sense to me. And
What did you another one, John?
no, I was just going to say I am happy to move it unless there are more
Okay.
questions.
Well, it was, I've just got a question around actually what you just said in regards to how it's happened. So my question is the sign off of projects. So how did this project get signed off without the markings being put back on the road? Like you said, you don't have time to go around and look at all these things.
Oh,
but
yes.
someone must be accountable for signing that project off. So someone must not have done their job for this to happen.
Yes, there's no other answer than agree with that. It seems to be an error that it's been resealed as part of a maintenance contract.
Yeah, but I'm just worried about the sign off. I'm worried about the council being responsible for ensuring that the work that they've paid for is actually done properly.
Yes.
Because, to not putting road markings back on a road, that's quite major to miss.
Yes, certainly the main road markings and then like, for example, if the stop sign markings hadn't been put back in, that would have been picked up straight away. I think this was just a slightly obscure. Yes, it's human error has happened here with our maintenance supervisors, and it hasn't been picked up. We've only picked it up because somebody's to complain to us in the traffic operations team, separate from maintenance, to say, well, this isn't working for us. And so we looked at it and said, well, what's happened to the markings and signs? So
on the sign off for a roading job like that, is there a checklist of all the things that you're meant to go through to actually sign off?
in terms of maintenance, I can't answer that. I'd have to get, we can certainly report back to the board. I'm not part of the maintenance team, so I don't know what their.
Well, that'd be interesting to know because, there's because it's a lot of work that you see happen around the streets and the gardens aren't finished or something isn't done, and you wonder, how did that get past the sign off from the council because it's not done?
Certainly, if the board wishes to have the maintenance team respond on that.
Let's ask them. Yeah. Thank you.
Anyone else? No? John's going to move it?
Yeah.
Sunita's seconding it. Put that motion in. All those in favour? Aye. It's carried. And the last of the funds, Innes Road, Melbourne, Park,
Happy to move this.
Happy to second it.
Sunita had her
Just shiny, that's all.
any questions, or was there anything you wanted to?
Was the rugby club spoken to?
Can I just say through the chair, you'll see here it's got Sally Ann's as the author of this, and she was, and I said, look, I can speak to this because I'll be here tonight to save her coming out. I'm well aware of it because I was involved, sorry, and I will answer your question. I was involved in this many years ago, putting the island facility in, and it was quite contentious at the time. There were concerns that it was going to encourage children to cross the road and go up this alleyway, and that people would be hiding in bushes.
There's no bushes, so.
Yeah, and actually at the time I can recall doing some research into, as awful as it is, if children are abducted or whatever, there are far more children casualties on roads. So and the board at the time accepted that and put this in, but the contention was about parking. So this time round, Sally has talked to our parks unit who liaise with the clubs, and everyone's in agreement that there's oodles of parking here because just about every frontage, Roosevelt, Innes, Rutland, and
got parking.
Got the other one. There's parking the whole way around the park, so they weren't concerned. They were more quite keen that the safety, that we took this parking way for safety purposes. Yeah, and unfortunately, people were parking right over the cut down, which unfortunately is blocking in.
Right, so we've got a mover and a seconder. Anyone want to speak to it? Right, we'll put that motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
It is carried. Thank you very much, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you for being waiting for those ones. Item 12 is our BRE. Tennis club in Morrison and Bolton. Helen.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Helen.
Sorry.
And was there anything you wanted to speak to, or are you just happy to take questions if there are any?
I'm happy to take questions.
But are there any? John.
Yes, thank you. Hello, Helen. Timing, my question, winter is coming, and I saw that noted in the report too, that's a factor with regard to the drainage.
Yeah.
Tennis courts. Can you outline sort of the timeline that's proposed for the drainage improvements?
So they've got a temporary solution at the moment, which the Parks Department helped them with, which has sufficed over the summer period. They're in the process of looking, because I had conversations with the club and said, it's unlikely the board will be able to fund you the full amount. And so they've been seeking funding as we speak now. And as soon as they get the funding, they will pursue that drainage, drainage opportunity. So it's kind of like a sump that will go into the hinterland.
Okay. Two more, if I may, bundle them up.
Yeah.
Who owns, with regard to Edgeware Tennis, who owns the property? I read that the bowls is indeed City Council property on a long lease.
No, it's the tennis. So tennis owns the land.
If you're talking bowls.
No, I'm asking about tennis. So I know about bowls because it's in the report, but it's.
So the tennis, where they lease the land. So it's council land. Which they lease,
yes,
but it's their responsibility to deal with any drainage issues as per the lease, but it is our land.
Sneaky thing for the leases.
Yeah, that's where it was.
So, and hence why my recommendation is what it is, because it is our land. And yeah.
Okay, and just my final question is, it's really how much of a community facility it is, I suppose, and I'll ask the same question with regard to.
It is a good facility, and one of the things is that club has really worked hard at getting its junior members, but they're also looking at expanding their offering so that when their facilities aren't used for tennis, they can be used for other sports and recreation activities. So they're in the process of looking at that and talking to other groups. So they're progressing really well as a club from, once upon a time, our strength focused as tennis to actually, we've got this wonderful facility. Let's make sure that it's used 24/7, but for everybody, which is great. And that is reflected in their growing junior membership and that conversation. So I've talked to a variety of people, and that's certainly the case.
Great, thank you.
I'm happy to move both of these, Emma.
Okay, second. Any other questions? Yeah, thanks for asking that question about the membership, because I was going to ask that as well. It's good to get that answered. Right, anyone want to speak to it? No? Okay, we'll put that motion. Oh, we've got a mover. We need a seconder. Oh, Pauline, sorry. Right, we'll put that motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
That is carried.
And I've been told to stay up here for the area report.
Once again, we'll take it as read. Thank you for a great report.
Really good to see how much is going on, isn't it?
Any other questions about it? I think that shows that you have covered everything thoroughly.
It's very comprehensive.
Thanks for that.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Mark. Well done, Mark. Right, so we need a mover and a second for that.
So just how have the long-term plan drop-ins been going? How many people coming?
The one that started was, we got nobody. And we were here from, and there was strengthening communities as well. So staff were in the library from 2 to 6.
Yeah.
And nobody kind of, we had big signs and smiled and you should have lollies actually. Anyway, next time. But I know Victoria's been doing a lot of drop-ins in the library as well.
And speaking to the engagement team, so they've gone out to a number of events. So they were at the Richmond Gala. So they had all.
That's a big tent. I don't know how.
They're going to be at the Phillipstown Gala. Oh, good. So they've been out to a number of. Don't tell me you're at McFarlane Parks. I didn't see you there either. They weren't at McFarlane Park. They talked to us about McFarlane Park, but when we've had a store previously at McFarlane Park, people really haven't been engaged to talk about the long-term plan. So what we've kind of targeted where we think we'll get the most engagement.
So looking at the low response to the library one, perhaps we won't do that next time.
And it's just the same number as last year, of the previous.
0. Although so maybe because it's staff time sitting there.
Yeah.
So maybe
the engagement team was good. They had people turning up.
Yes, they did.
They had a big screen, interactive screen. It was quite surprising the number of people turned up and looked at that.
So the big screen helps. So I think every year we're learning a little bit more, and learning different ways we need to engage and have those conversations.
And the community meetings we've been to, like our community liaison meeting and the Phillipstown safety meeting, talk about the bubble tool, sell the bubble tool because that's cool.
And also when people are talking to me, like just yesterday I was talking to someone, well actually today I was talking to someone on the phone and they were talking about stuff and I said, and perhaps you could make a submission to the long-term plan, which is open about that because they were upset about certain conditions to do with sports fields. And I said, well, it'd be great if you made a submission to the long-term plan. So certainly when we're talking to any of our community people, which we're doing a lot now at the moment because we're doing strengthening communities, we are sending that message.
Yep, no, that's good. Thank you. Thanks so much.
Just to add, they will be at the Eid Festival on Sunday as well.
Oh, yeah, great.
And you've got another one at Shirley Library tomorrow?
I think so, yes. Yeah. So, there certainly seems to be more engagement opportunities. And I do think the wee tokens are working well.
Location on our is working really well. Watching people see what it's about.
Yeah.
Table.
Have you ever tried like Northlands Mall?
Yes, we have. We have done that one year. There's again, so Northlands Mall, they have and a lot of the malls have a restriction on that you can't go and approach people and talk to you. So you can set up, but you can't go and approach, because I got told off for going and approaching people. Because I thought, well, I'm here, I might as well go and talk to people, and I got told off. So you kind of have to sit and wait for them to come to talk to you. So that is a difficulty when you're in the mall, because people see you and go, I'm here shopping and I don't want to talk to you. Anyway.
But actually, Helen, I think the other thing too is I know if I'm walking through a mall and someone's just sitting there like a lump at a table, you think, oh, well, they can't be very interested. So I don't think it's a great reflection unfairly of staff. If you don't get up and engage with people, I think some people think it's just because you can't be bothered and don't realise that you can't approach people.
So, I get told off in those situations, but
Speaking rule.
Timeshare days. Well, last time I was told off when I was over at HHR and we were engaging about Matatiki, and I was doing circuits of them all, and then security came off and said, you can't do that.
You know, a team for effort though.
I think it'd be different if you were selling something, but really not to be able to approach people to actually inform them. It's interesting.
Any other questions?
We can approach you, we can't approach you, but you can approach us. You need new signage.
Are you going to pay for our security? Tell us what you think.
Simon's moving it. Do we have a seconder? Pauline? Right, we'll put that motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Thank you. And we're on to members' information exchange. Who's up first? Anita.
So, Eid Mubarak, everyone. That's why I'm looking all glittery, because today is Eid. And as you may know, that there's a multicultural center putting up a big feast and celebration on Sunday. So it would be great if you guys can turn up there. And another thing is that
what time is it?
2 p.m. till 7 p.m. So hopefully we'll have good weather.
That's ticketed.
And Phillipstown Gala is on Saturdays. So please, reminder there. They have posted on their Facebook saying that even if there is a little rain, they will go ahead. So that will be a good one. And that's about for me. Thank you. Sorry for being late. I was caught in the traffic.
Anyone else? Anything to share? Emma?
Just an update on Edgware Village. So just today had the business owners come into the centre to, so we were talking last meeting, I think, about residents had been complaining about things going on in the village. So now the business owners are too. So there's some people moving in, sort of moving in during the day to live in the shop fronts.
They're staying here.
Well, and they're actually talking with the business owners. So the business owners have said they live down the road. So they have told them that they live down the road. So they're not homeless. They have homes. They are there, and they have told the business owner that came in today, they are there to get money for alcohol because they are alcoholics. Today their urine, so not just human and dog urine, feces and blood in the street. So
it's water blasting, doesn't it? It's pretty bad.
Well, apparently it's costing them, so the St. John's shop, it's costing them something like $300 to get it sprayed down, to get it washed properly every 2 months or something.
Just clarify for me, which area are we talking about? Exactly.
Road in the village.
Edgware Road.
On the village.
Yeah.
So pretty much from Cranford Corner, where the second-hand shop is down and towards the Colombo Street.
Okay.
Right, it's right through to, it's right through to Caledonian Road.
By the other side, outside the supermarket sometimes. And outside the border.
And the bus stop, so they're sitting in the bus stop, beautiful sunny spot in the afternoon, they all sit there and drink.
But all we can do is let the police know about it, so. And I think that, sorry, Emma, are you telling the business owners that just to ring 105 if there's any incident? And even though the police can't always come out, it's recorded and then that's all they
So,
can really
yeah.
do.
With my other hat on, there's a piece going to St Albans News educating people not to give money. And there's a meeting, so we have a quarterly meeting with the business group anyway. So we're I've got a volunteer organising that for upcoming weeks. So, yeah,
I
we'll
had
discuss that.
Karen, the liquor.
Super liquor.
And get in touch with me asking about the process for looking at getting an alcohol ban in the area. So I've given her the information about what she needs to do, and so they're looking at taking those steps.
Great.
Cyril, I'll jump in because it's the same topic and say also in Richmond and in Linwood Village, I've been contacted by the supermarket owner in Richmond. So I'm going to meet with him and Gary Watson. But again, it's, you know, there aren't many options when it comes to antisocial.
New World Animal.
New World standards.
Have they got a liquor ban there already, or? Because I mean, they could be doing the same piece of work for each area.
Well, it's the process is a group of business owners has to get together.
Has to come from the community.
Come to the community board with them all on board, the same thing.
Liquor ban.
Yes.
As well, with offences.
Absolutely.
It's not something you can do proactively. There's a liquor ban in the southern part of the village area, but it's changed the substance. Consumed more.
But this person, individual, I'm talking about the one who sits by the Peter Thames.
Yes.
I have spotted that person from Valentine's in front of KFC on Colombo and then coming right down.
Or they move around. They get moved
And,
on.
with the dog.
I'm interested in having a look. See
In one
what you recognise, but you've already mentioned it's fairly consistent, so it's every day, or is there a pattern?
It is at the moment, but they'll probably, I mean, like, they're only there during the day and they're only sort of there in the warm days. And you won't see them there in the rain. But as I say, they live just down on Sherborne Street.
It's not that they're there, that's the problem. It's the antisocial behaviour and people, you know,
Well, and it's
want to
you know,
confuse the two.
That's exactly right. I mean, it's quite an accepting community, but when you've got feces and urine.
So there's a trolley which is full of stuff and that trolley is even unattended there. And it's on the wheel. So, and when children are especially, you know, because there is a phone booth. So the space between person laying out their stuff with like at least 6 different bottle of water, but it's holding a piece of paper or something saying, help me, or something like that.
No, it says something or rather, thank you and God bless, because
Yeah.
according to the person I spoke to today, he said that works best.
Oh, is it? Okay. And then this person is sitting with trolley and other duvet cover and things like that.
The trolley works as well. Without the trolley, he doesn't get as much money.
So they're occupying quite a bit of footpath.
Yeah.
Where people have to maneuver themselves to go to either.
You'd be taking at least 6 metres of footpath.
Not a crime, not a breach of a bylaw.
No.
This is quite a dotted around different parts of the whole city, a similar problem. And I just wonder, you know, there are some neighbourhoods who have tried some things that have helped, whether they be disincentives or whether they be off-ramps for the people. I think there needs to be a combination of both, as well as policing and agencies and so on. It would be nice to maybe, I'm thinking out loud here, scramble a bit of a summit or something.
We should all keep in contact,
Yeah.
given we represent an urban
That's
communities,
right.
which is where these problems are most prevalent.
Because it would be sort of nice to have someone who actively actually goes around and speaks to these people.
There is someone.
There is
But
someone?
Yeah, it's in the central city.
Yeah, that were they focused in the central city? Those, that
I think it's.
Can we highlight?
But I'm just making stuff up, so.
It would be good to know if there is somebody and if you go out to those inner city suburbs.
I'm pretty sure that within Gary's team.
So can we please highlight
there's
that?
a little bit of work that's been undertaken, but I would need to check to see where that's progressed.
Following my meeting with Gary, I might suggest that he writes something up and that can be circulated around.
That'd be helpful.
Emma, can I just quickly, I've just had a look online under the Summary Offences Act. Apparently, if you're blocking too much of a footpath, it can be a minor offence under New Zealand criminal law. It's a criminal offence to interfere unreasonably with normal movement along a footpath or in a mall or arcade, but only if you keep doing it after you've been warned by police. So it might be worth just checking out what we can do, and if police do warn them to move along and they keep doing it, then it apparently is a breach of the Summary Offences Act.
Okay.
So that's really the reporting of it.
Yeah.
What was the act? What was the act?
It's the Summary Offences Act 1981, section 22 to 39. Summary Offences Act 81, sections 22 to 39.
Yeah, thank you. A couple of things. Had a lot of heat around the temporary traffic works on Hillwood Road as the investigative works are happening. And someone who popped into the library this afternoon said, given that there's no work in the evening and they usually stop about 4 o'clock and they don't work in the weekends, is it possible for a request to be made for the temporary traffic management cones to be moved to the side so that normal traffic flow can continue during the weekend and evening periods? I don't know the answer to that, and I don't know what the practices are.
Pay to set it up again. That's the thing.
I don't know what to do with that. So I'm chucking it to you.
Put it in CSR as a basis for that.
Yeah. What is for a CSR?
Yeah, councils have got that meetings with the transport managers too.
No, we don't have
We're not having that anymore. Okay, well, look, I might just raise it via that process. And see, because actually I have noticed in a couple of areas around the city that the cones are being pushed to the gutters. So I don't know whether the residents are doing it, but I suspect that if it's not done by our contractors, the residents are just going to do it anyway. And then it's quite higgledy-piggledy.
If you do that and then even suggest that the resident does it as well.
Yeah. Oh, well, I don't know if I'm doing that.
The CSR.
Oh, the CSR. Okay. See what Steve does about it, and we're like, yeah.
Okay, so thank you. That's first thing.
I'll take that one in for you.
Yeah.
That was me.
So the second thing is in relation to, I've had a request for Rotary in the Papanui area to erect some peace poles. And I don't know if you guys know anything about them, but the purpose of the peace poles is to reflect our citizens are in support of a peaceful community. And there's been a Rotary Peace Initiative in the Peace Pole program that's been going since 1995 in Japan, with more than 200,000 peace poles have been installed in 200 countries around the world. They are looking to put one into Papanui Bush, at the entrance to Papanui Bush, and they want to put one also in the Hillwood Road RSA area. Hillwood Road connects with Papanui Road in that reserve.
Memorial Reserve.
Yeah, in the Memorial Reserve. So there's a request. I've flicked it through to Mark. I'm just not quite sure what happens next with that and how that can progress.
Leave it with me offline and we'll work out who gets the permission over those particular areas. And you talk to RSA at all about?
No, I've spoken to no one. It's just come to me. So I just thought I'd bring it via you and see what the options were for pathways to progress it going forward. Interestingly, they've also asked for some funding around it too. So
it would be a little bit like a park bench, wouldn't it? Sort of request.
So they're looking for
park bench, well, a public art park bench, when someone requests it, as long as they're paying for it.
They can take it offline, but I just thought I'd bring it to the table. And then the other one that's just I thought about today is the first article I saw this morning when I was up this morning was the article in the Stuff around the concerns with the cycling, the 5-year-old and the 8-year-old on Cranford and Westminster. And I think it was at St Albans Catholic School, whichever school it was. And I just wondered if anyone at the table here with St Albans Primary is, I think it's in your ward, Pauline, have we got any existing relationships with the principal there? Is someone talking to them? And if not, can we please be proactive in that space and just start talking about that? It's, you know, it's just,
It's been ongoing for years.
It's been ongoing, okay,
It's
so
ongoing
it's,
for years. It's, yeah.
I haven't heard it at this table though, during my time on this tenure.
Because remember, Emma, you and I just worked with, Claire from they did like a traffic management planning.
Clear Piper with the,
Yeah. I don't know what, I know they did some work on Shepherd Place. I don't know, I can't remember if that stretched as far as that intersection.
no,
No, well, but they put up the rainbow thing.
it was a fun thing. Lighting the streets.
But I'm pretty sure there was with the DEMP, I'm pretty sure we asked for the school to be dealt with some planning around.
Yeah, but the problem is the traffic numbers didn't trigger the 30%, they're only 10% increase on
yeah.
that. But I think we should be proactive.
10% increase on Courtney.
What they're saying.
Yeah, so my request is to be proactive in terms of engaging with the school.
Let's get that figure checked.
It was 27 last time.
Let's get that figure checked then.
And does the schooling come to I haven't seen the principals here at any of our principals' engagement.
Never
and-
seen, I don't think.
No.
I've seen.
No, the previous.
Not this term, the last and.
But
I wonder if this
not certainly not regularly.
No, and I wonder if this is an opportunity then for us to be proactive and engaging, make a personal approach, try and get them to come along and, you know, use the forums that we've got in order to discuss and address and progress some of the issues that we've got.
That's what I actually suggested to the reporter when she rang me, that, you know, our door is open, we'd love to hear from the principal. Shouldn't put that in.
Well, let's be proactive about it instead of waiting for it to happen to us would be my request.
Yep.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Emma, can I just add to what Vic just said then about what are the chances of trying to re-engage with police again? I know I bang on about this a lot, but I just think having some visibility there with police or police having some visibility not only may help people feel safe and like something is being done, but it also might make people check their behaviour as well. Could we at least pen something to police to say, hey, look, in light of the recent reports and misses and hits, could we request, not a sting, I'm not meaning that, but the police to be there maybe, yeah?
It's peak times for
That
school.
intersection.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely makes a difference.
Does, doesn't it? Yeah.
Now, the issue for me is that front page test, you know, in the event that the worst happens here, and people say, what is the community about it? What are you guys doing about it? We really need to be seen to be proactive around trying to make improvements where we
Well,
can.
could we ask our staff to do some monitoring if it's possible then, after school hours and when kids are arriving and leaving school?
Well, you'd think that would.
No, but could we ask them to do that?
This is,
Well,
the community has been raising this as a very serious.
but I think it'd be good if the board,
Yeah, we can
ask staff to do that and see if staff have got any resource to do a little bit of monitoring.
Yeah, and we'll go through the community constable for the police.
Yeah.
Probably would be.
Yeah, I think it's got to be a combined thing. I agree. I don't see why this should fall to council and take up our resource and costing. I think this is perhaps more police of a police responsibility than it is staff. It's an enforcement thing, and that's what police do. But if we can do it as a partnership with police, that's better than I think just us stepping up again.
Because staff might actually find some, you know, improvements or treatments to the road layout that could actually make it safer. We don't know, but if they were there and having a look.
Yeah, but what I got from that article was that it's driver behaviour. It's poor decision making and driver behaviour, but certainly we'll go to the police and we'll ask staff.
Yep.
You can say it's driver behaviour, but it's road design as well.
And
the road design, you know, you're all over the place.
Horrible.
You know, you come and you go and you've got the bus lane. I mean, it's just, you know, it really is terrible. And you've got cars sneaking up in the inside, you know, they shouldn't
Because it's
be.
an offset intersection as well. It's not.
Yeah, it's diabolical. And then cars can't get to, there's no turning arrows for the cars, so they come across the white line, sit in the middle of the road, basically, and yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah, no, I think we're all in agreement there.
Previously, there's issues along, this is a different area, Tennyson Street, and it was actually neighbourhood patrols that went out and assisted with that rather than the police, and they sat there monitoring the behaviour of the drivers, which seemed to have worked until they came up with a solution moving forward as to what they could do to help the safety for the children. So rather than the police who are a little bit slammed with resource, it may pay in the interim to make an approach to neighbourhood patrol to see if it would be something they would be willing to do.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Shall we do that then?
Well, even the school taking it up on themselves, I mean, the thing is, within their curriculum, they can do surveys and things, I mean, like, you know, they could actually tick off some of their.
We'll check in with our school travel team as well.
Yeah, well, I know that I mean, just the school actually have a new policy, and it's actually, and I had a look at it, and it's all around being a school in a community. It's all about using their community and being part of the community. So it may be something that they actually want to take up as their issue and be involved, you know, like.
We can only offer, we can't force them.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, it's something differently we can move on. Anything else? No. Okay, in that case, we will go our karakia, finish up. Close the meeting.